Welcome back to the TSL, you're listening to Vol, and we're watching a game between TT1 and XiaOzI. The map is Longinus, and TT1 has spawned at the top left position as the white Protoss, and XiaOzI is at the bottom, let's call it the 7 o'clock position, as yellow Zerg. Sorry if I got the pronunciation of his name wrong. I know that XiaOzI is a Chinese player. I know that also that Chinese IP addresses have been banned for this tournament just because of lag issues, but I think that XiaOzI is actually playing from Canada, so it's not an issue for him. Both of these players are actually currently in the top 48, and I expect both of them to finish in the top 48, so it's about time I actually covered a game between players who are both looking like they might be top contenders for this tournament. And we've got TT1 just scouting around. He's changed the position of his scout. I think the reason for that is he expected to see an overlord at that point and didn't. Just to remind people, we've got XiaOzI at the bottom left, sort of 7 o'clock position, and sending his overlord to the right hand side. TT1 now just putting down a forge, looking to go for that fast expansion, get some photon cannons in. And XiaOzI making a spawning pool before he gets the second hatchery, just to really put the pressure on his opponent and make sure that his opponent has to actually build photon cannons there, rather than just going straight for the Nexus. And I think that's what we'll be seeing him do. Yep, probe into position, ready to put the photon gunners down. We'll see them any minute now. XiaOzI getting ready to build some Zerglings. There's the two photon cannons now, so it'll only be a matter of time before he puts a Nexus down, but he's just a little bit afraid that XiaOzI might just rush into his base with a bunch of Zerglings, or really just sort of build a lot of them up and attack rather than going for the standard sort of macro kind of game. Zergling's out now, and just sending one of them just to harass the probe, try and eventually get rid of it. The probes are just so difficult to get rid of. Such a fast unit, and with the shields that regenerate. And meanwhile, sent the remaining 5 Zerglings up to the top just to really just threaten there. Hopefully, ideally, if you're the Zerg player in this situation, you really want to force the Protoss player to build more photocannons than necessary and just trying to intimidate him a little bit. I think we lost a Zergling there. Yeah, a little bit of a maybe sloppy micro. Not too big a deal. One Zergling is hardly a big deal. Now, Nexus going down, probe still in XiaOzI's base, and I think he is building a second hatchery now. Zergling speed upgrade, so he does definitely want to make those Zerglings more effective. It's really also helpful to get rid of that scout too once you've got the speed upgrade early and deny a little bit of information there. Here we go. Because the Zerglings couldn't do any damage and had basically finished their job of intimidating the Protoss player up at the Protoss base, he's just brought them back to get rid of that probe. And it is actually quite important to remove that element of scouting at this point of the game. You really just want to sort of deny information and just keep the Protoss player guessing as to whether you're going to be going Hydras or Mutalisks. And look at what we've got here. We've got XiaOzI putting down an expansion at the bottom, not the bottom right, but more like the sort of 4 o'clock position on the map. And good idea in my opinion. If you can keep that expansion up, it's got a gas vent there. And it's sort of in a position where it's not going to be checked very early on by any kind of Protoss scout. So hopefully that pays off for him. We've actually got a third photon cannon coming down here by TT1. I think he's just a bit worried that, again, he lost his scout and he's just not sure whether his opponent XiaOzI is going to be building up a lot of Zerglings. In this case, XiaOzI is opting for more of a macro style game and quickly taking up Talair. I'm not sure if I could call it quickly, but at any rate, he's not going to be going for a rush. That's what is certain about what we're seeing here. Not really seeing any zealots yet from TT1. I think he is also opting for a more of a sort of laid-back, well, not laid-back's the wrong term, more of a sort of reserved kind of macro management tech-heavy game, going for the quick weapons upgrade. So we could be seeing a lot of zealots after a while, after perhaps he adds some gateways there to just maximize his unit output for a sort of timing push at a certain stage of the game. That weapons upgrade will be really handy. Then we've got a Citadel of Adun. So note that he hasn't gone for Corsairs in this case. We see a lot of situations where Protoss get Corsairs straight away against Zerg after getting the expansion, but he's going for that Citadel of Adun, which tells me that he's more likely to be going for a Zealot upgrade with a leg upgrade rather than maybe Dark Templars or something, because Dark Templars really are not that useful against Zerg if you don't have any Corsairs to get rid of the Overlords first. Lurker's being researched for XiaOzI. So that's interesting. He hasn't actually built any Hydralisks yet, but he's also sort of taking the route of just planning his game around a specific point, just a point towards the mid-game, where he'll be making his forces very effective, and we'll be seeing a lot of Lurkers, I think, at one specific point. And it's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited to see what's going to be happening here, because both players are sort of opting to gear their build orders towards a certain point in the mid-game, and if both of them are doing that, we could be seeing a bit of an epic clash when that happens. Let's see how this turns out. See, a lot of gateways now going down for TT1, so what he's done, he's just held off investing in troops until a certain point, and now he's investing in production, and will be able to get a lot of troops maximized for a particular attack, because he's been safe early on. And two reasons why he's been safe: he's invested a lot in defense, and secondly, XiaOzI's plan has not been to rush him. So, but on the other hand, we've got XiaOzI also investing in a lot of drones. He's got 3 hatcheries, one hatchery at an expansion location. And he's now able to invest a lot in Hydralisks, and we'll be seeing a lot of Hydralisks and Lurkers. And interestingly, TT1 has opted for Zealots. XiaOzI has opted for Hydralisks and Lurkers, which are very effective against Zealots. So I'm just wondering what additional units TT1 is going to be building just to supplement his attacks. We don't have a robotics facility going down, so those Zealots are going to be really useless against Lurkers. There's a possibility of him rushing in and doing some attacks, but we'll see. I'm not sure if you spotted that, but what I spotted there was a Templar Archives going down at the top left of TT1's base, and that's a good kind of supplement for Zealots. Eventually we get some Archons and High Templars, which are a bit more useful against Lurkers and Hydralisks. A lot more useful, I should say. Finally, we've got some action. Zealots streaming out, and what he might not have noticed is the Lurkers were heading in and actually cutting off the exit to his base. Now, one photon cannon is shooting down one of the Lurkers, but we've still got a Lurker remaining there. Zealots just ferociously charging towards XiaOzI's base, but that entrance is too well defended. I'm just wondering if he's going to be spotting that expansion on the top on the right. XiaOzI's going to need to defend that, because that's a lot of Zealots, and they've just been upgraded with +1 damage. So any kind of attack is really going to be... well, let's just say the Zealot's going to be very powerful once observers show up. XiaOzI is actually upgrading Overlords here, so I think his plan may well be to drop the Protoss base. We'll see how that works out. So long as he can keep his defense up, I think dropping with Hydralisks and Lurkers will be a good idea. Now, what we just saw there, TT1 actually scouted with his big main force. I would have liked to see him just scout with a probe or something, but now he has actually found the base of XiaOzI, and attacking. Those sunken colonies are not going to be too much of a problem for the Zealots, but what I'm worried about is the Lurker there, which is just getting a whole lot of free hits with splash damage, linear splash damage onto the Zealots. Zerglings coming in to defend. This is going to be a bit of a tight one. He's going to be losing a lot, but he's eventually able to scare the Zealots off. Look what's just happened here. The Zealots have just moved into the empty main position at the 3 o'clock. And they're effectively trapped there. XiaOzI's actually had to cancel the second expansion he was making and just pulling back the drone. But those Zealots are pretty much trapped there, and they can't actually get away to help out any other kind of attack that he makes anywhere else on the map, because XiaOzI's base there and it hasn't been taken out. It's really interesting what's happened there. By the way, the Lurker that XiaOzI planted down just knocked out the forge. So it's really turning out to be quite an annoying Lurker there. More gateways going down, observers finally showing up, so that'll help. Now we've got High Templars and an Archon. So macro management fairly steady here by TT1. That Lurker feels it's time to quit the game and run for it, because I think he'll be expecting some High Templars and observers to be showing up, and it's a fairly wise move there by XiaOzI. What TT1's doing here is just securing an expansion, getting the photon cannons down first at the double gas expansion at the 1 o'clock position. And good idea. It's about time that he expanded. He's really going to need to do something like that in order to keep up with XiaOzI's forces, since XiaOzI's